Yep. Jack. There's I have enough exposed to like fill the classroom with Try this one. Alright, now I'll do Chuck. This is Chuck. This. Oh. 16 evenings. I'm gonna go outside today.
We are?
Pink.
Do you see we're going outside?
Oh, for possibly for me. You gotta listen to them. Nice hours. We could walk up to the bakery. I could go find some drunk guy. It'd all be good. Turn in my system now. About that. I only have 2 sections done. And my muscle system.
There's only 2 that we have to go.
I know, I only did those 2.
Yeah, because that's all I have to do.
And the muscle section is like really hard. Well, the drawing part of it. I just drew a bunch of.
I didn't draw that.
I drew like a guy, but like I skipped. I drew like a guy, but I didn't. I know. I made it seem. One person's like, so it was like, look like it was a girl, and I was like, the picture said it's a guy.
Alright, please make sure you have a whiteboard and take out your homework that was due today.
There's like billions. They're all in little strands.
Who gave me my whiteboard?
Some of the 8th graders left them in last grade because I knew you guys were busy.
Oh, wow. Mine wasn't used. This is what I left yesterday.
Yeah, they were wondering who wrote that.
That was me. Who got this one? Was it a guy or
Let's
girl?
try, I appreciate that, but let's try leaving them.
I know, but was it a guy or girl? Who got
I
it?
don't remember.
Wait, what'd you write on it?
They didn't know who wrote it.
They thought.
No, it usually the up.
Please take out your homework, page 432, 2 through 12 evens. We will begin by checking our homework. Page 432, 2 through 12 evens. Number 2, they wanted you to give an example of data that could be represented using a line graph. We talked about how a line graph normally displays data that changes over a period of time. So you could have picked any type of data that has those qualities. So Hannah, what did you choose?
How tall a plant grows over a 3-week time period.
Perfect example. So anything like that, everyone might have a different example, and that's okay, as long as it is information that would be best displayed on a line graph. Number 4, plant height. So this one is similar to Hannah's. Plant height measurements made every 2 days in a science fair report. What type of display would you use for number 4? Kendall?
Line graph.
Line graph. Yes. Number 6, points scored by individual members of a basketball team compared to the team total. Mackenzie?
Stem and leaf plot.
That's an option. What else though? Circle graph, because we are
what about a
comparing.
table? What about a table? Because it said
Yes,
individual.
because you have the individual. We are also, the key thing here though is that we're comparing parts to the whole. Part of the team to the whole team. So that's why the best choice would be the circle graph. Yes.
For number 4, I put line plot instead of line graph.
Line graph would probably be the best option for that one rather than line plot. Yes, Hannah.
So is it okay if we put stem and leaf plot for number 6?
Yes, but know that circle graph is the best choice. And sometimes with this one, with these type of problems, they can be a little tricky because even though one choice might be okay, there might be a better choice, like in this situation. Yes?
So on the quiz, if we put Sun and Link, would it be wrong?
Yeah.
It would depend.
For that problem.
For that specific problem, I might take off partial credit just because it wasn't the absolute best choice. So make sure that we're paying attention closely to which one would be best. So since this one said part and whole, and we're comparing those, it would be circle graph. Number 8, the profits of a company every year for the last 10 years. You would use a line graph.
Wait, which one was that for?
Number 8.
Oh, I put a histogram.
Me too.
Yeah, because when you could do that because it goes up.
They wanted though it to show every year. They want every single, voices up please, listen up. They want every single year to be able to show. So if you did a histogram, you would have to pick some intervals. So that means you would have to do the first 3 years, and then the second 3 years.
So
And
that's
so it's not
wrong.
going to show. It's not going to show each individual year. Number 10. The number of students who wish to order each size T-shirt. Where do they have my answer for that? They're hiding it from me.
I put line plot. So
Oh, they said table or a bar graph or a pictograph.
Couldn't you do a line plot too? Because it's like for a small, then you could just put how many X's or whatever. So that'd
Yeah.
be okay.
That would work. Number 12. Number 12, they wanted you to pick an appropriate type of display and then make that display. The best choice that they gave was a bar graph. So you could have made a bar graph for number 12.
You couldn't do a table because it's in a table.
Right, you couldn't do a table because it's already in a table, so that would not be an option. Questions about the homework. Choosing an appropriate display. These 2 rows, please go place your homework in your mailbox. These 2 rows, please go quietly place your homework in your mailbox. Everyone else can take out your notes and go ahead and write the title for today's section. And Mason's row, you can go put your homework in your mailbox. Do you have a question? Okay, just go put it in your mailbox. Take out your notes. Today we are looking at measures of central tendency. So first we're going to look at some examples of that. What do we mean by measures of central tendency? Please look with me at page 435. Page 435. At the top, there is a chart or a table, and the table is showing the average number of vacation days per year for selected countries. So for example, they say most people in Brazil have about 34 vacation days every year. People in Canada have on average 26. People in France have on average 37, and so on. And if you notice, it's kind of interesting, but they show that the United States, it looks like, has the least amount of vacation days. And it makes sense, right? Because we know that our country is so fast-paced, and we like to work, and work is a high priority for us, whereas in other countries, they value rest and vacation a little more than we might. But regardless of that, here are the numbers, and we want to answer some questions about these numbers. First, it says, what is the average number of days for these 9 countries? How do we find an average? Yes?
We'd add all of them up and divide them by 9
Why 9?
because that's how many countries there are.
Exactly. Everyone take out your whiteboard, find the average number of vacation days for all 9 countries. once you're done, you can just keep it down. Once everyone's done, we'll hold them up. I don't want your arms to get scared. Yeah, you can round to the nearest whole number, that's fine. I think most people are pretty close or have found it. If you've found it, you can hold up your whiteboard. I see from about 29 to 31, 28 to 31, so we were all close. The actual average would be about 29. So you might have been slightly off in your adding or dividing. But you should have gotten 29 as the average. So that means out of these 9 countries, the average amount would be 29. You don't have to write this part down yet, but we're just going to write a couple more things about this, and I just want to have it up there. Number 2 says to order the numbers from least to greatest, and what number is in the middle of your list. So we'll do this together up here. What's the lowest number in this thing? 13. What number comes next? 25. And how many 25s are there? 2. What number comes next?
26.
Next. There's something before that.
28.
28. Next.
35.
There's a 34. Then what, Ariana? 35. 37. Is that all been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? Yes. Which number, now that we've written them out from least to greatest, which number is in the middle of all the numbers? Mackenzie?
28.
Right, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is in the middle. 28. Number 3. What number appears more than once?
25.
25. And number 4. Which one of the number, or which of the number or numbers from exercises 1 through 3, so 29, 28, 25, which of these numbers might be representative of this set of data? So which of these numbers best represents all of the data that was given in the table? What do you think, Olivia?
29 because it's the average of all of them.
So you're saying 29 because that's the average of all of them. Do you agree, Mackenzie?
No, I'd say 28 because it's in the middle of both of them.
So you'd say 28 because it's in the middle. Any other suggestions? Any other guesses?
Oh, I would say 28 too.
You would say 28 also. We could use 28 or 29. They're really close together. Both of them seem to be in the center of the data, right? And it's the average, so it really represents the data well. So we could pick either the 28 or the 29. Not the 25 because it's toward the lower end. Even though there's 2 25s, it still doesn't really accurately represent the whole data. So I would pick 28 or 29 to represent the whole data. What we have just looked at, these are called measures of central tendency. You may have dealt with the average before, but we're going to learn a new name for it today. It's actually called the mean. So we have the mean, the median, and the mode. So So write each of these out, and we're going to write a quick definition for each one of those. The mean, like we just looked at, this is the average of a set of data, or the sum of the data divided by the number of items in the set. So the sum of the data divided by the number, I think it said the number of items in the data set. And if you want, you can write that this is, another name for it is the average. Yes,
Why are we learning this again?
you guys have learned it before?
Yeah. Like,
Right, I know you guys have learned it before. We're doing more of a review of it. We're going to talk about when is the best time to use the mean, when is the best time to use the median and the mode, and then we're going to talk about it later on with our displays as well.
Is this kind of like the way we did it yesterday? We're going to put down these notes and then that's mainly it?
Well, we're just like we do every day. We're going to write our notes and then we'll try out some problems with it in a
And
minute.
that's fine then.
Yes?
On the test, will you have to write like what they mean, each one?
You just need to know what they mean because you need to be able to find the mean, you need to be able to find the mode, and find the median. The mode, or the median, next, is the middle number of the data, ordered from least to greatest. So the middle number of the data, ordered from least to greatest. Now, in the situation that we just looked at, how many numbers were there
9.
in the set? There was 9. So we easily were able to find the middle number, right? It was right there. There was 4 to the left, 4 to the right, middle number. What happens, though, if we have an even number of numbers? Let's say that we have 4 numbers. So if we had 13, 20, 21, 25. Which number is the middle number? What would we do? Olivia?
Would you add 20 and 21 and then divide it by 2?
Exactly. So if we don't have a middle number, we're going to find the average or the mean of the 2 innermost numbers or the 2 middle numbers. So we need to put a semicolon here and say, or the mean of the 2 middle numbers. So there might be a situation like that where you have an even number of numbers and you have to look at the 2 middle numbers and find the mean. Yes?
Okay, will you not always have a mode?
You will not always have a mode. Sometimes you will, sometimes you will not. The mode, just like we saw earlier, is the number or numbers that occur most often. The number or numbers that occur most often. So you might have a couple different modes. Maybe we have a situation where you have 2 numbers that are repeated twice. Well, then both of those numbers would be the mode. But if you have a situation where you have 1 number that is repeated twice, and then 1 number that is repeated 3 times, the one that is repeated 3 times would be your mode in that situation. So it's whichever number occurs most often in the set of data. One thing that you will have to be able to do, like I just said, is you need to know what these definitions are so that you can find a mean, median, and mode. So that is our example 1, finding the mean, median, and mode. So the first example, finding the mean, they're giving us a set of data and they want us to find the mean, the median, and the mode for this set of data. So it is 22, 18, 24, 32, 24, and 18. So I'm going to put letter A for our first thing. We're going to find the mean. We know that that means that we have to add up all of the numbers. So I'm going to add 22 plus 18 plus 24, 32, 24, 18. I'm going to add up all of those numbers and I'm going to get 138. Then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 total numbers. So that means I'm going to divide 138 by 6 and I'm going to get 23. So my mean is 23. You guys said, though, that you have done this before. So the mean, I figured that the mean was something that probably was a review for most people. Might not be for everyone, but it's pretty straightforward as well. Add up all the numbers, divide by the number of numbers that you have. B, to find the median, we need to line up the numbers from least to greatest. So what number is the least in this set of data? 18, and we have 2 of them. What comes next? 22. Then our 24s. And then our 32. Do we have a number that is in the very middle?
No.
No. So we need to pick our 2 numbers that are in the middle, 22 and 24. We are going to add them together when we get 46, and then we're going to divide 46 by 2, and we will get 23. So our median is actually the same as our mode in this situation. Oh, and I'll write here too, median, so we know that's what we're doing. And for C, for the mode, this is the number or numbers that occurs most often. Do we have any numbers that repeat in this set of data? 18 and 24. 18, we have 2 18s, correct? And 24, we have 2 24s. So we would say that our mode, we have 2 modes. We have 18 as our mode, and we also have 24 as our mode. Yes?
For the median, couldn't you just, or the median, yeah, for the median, couldn't you just see what number was in between 22 and 24?
Sometimes that'll be the case, yes. Or sometimes you might have the same number there, so like 22, 22. So obviously it's just going to be 22, because if you add 22 plus 22 and then divide by 2, you're going to get 22. So there are some situations like that. But there might be some situations where you have like 22, 28 or something, and then you'll have to actually work it out. Let's get it over here. Any other questions about finding the mean, median, or mode? Look with me at the next page. If you turn the page, it says using appropriate measures. So just like we saw in the first example, Sometimes we have to choose, okay, do I want to find the mean? Do I want to find the median? Or do I want to find the mode? Which one best represents the set of data? And you have to decide, just like we were deciding yesterday on appropriate displays, we also have to decide which is the most appropriate measure of central tendency. So this is entitled Using Appropriate Measures. Using appropriate measures. They have given us another table. This table represents the population of the 7 continents. So they have the population in millions, and for each continent they've given the population. First, they want us to find the mean. So if we were, I'm going to write the 7 numbers here, and you can write them in your notes. 481, 347, 729, 3,688, 805, 31, and 0. And I'm just going to write that this represents populations in each continent. Because in order to select an appropriate measure, we need to know, well, what is our data representing? What is the situation behind my data? Because that will help me to know which measure of central tendency is the most appropriate. So if we were to find the mean, we know that, I'm not going to work it all out on here, but we know that we would add up all of these numbers, and then we would divide by 7, since there are 7 continents, and they did that in your book, and they got about 868.7. Then they ordered all of the numbers from least to greatest, and they found the median, the number in the middle, which was 481. And is there a mode in this set of data? Is there any number that is repeated more than once? No. So we do not have a mode in this example. Now they want us to answer the question, which measure of central tendency is most representative of the data? Without looking at your book and the answer that they give, what answer would you think would be the most accurate? Obviously, we only had 2 choices in this example. Either it's going to be the mean or the mode, the mean or the median. What do you think, Ariana?
The mean.
You think the mean? Anyone else think the mean? Raise your hand if you think the mean. A few. Raise your hand if you think the median. And I have some who are undecided. Come on, people, wake up, think. All right, you can read your book now. It says, since there is no mode, you must decide whether the mean or the median is more representative of the data. Notice that the extremely large population of Asia greatly affected the mean, right? Because Asia was huge. So it changed the mean a lot. We also averaged in a 0. So we're averaging in some pretty extreme numbers here. It's not like all of our numbers are around the same number. We have a very large number, we have a very small number mixed in here. In fact, the only continent with a population greater than the mean is Asia. So the best representation of the data is the median, 481 million. So because of the extremes that we see here, the median is actually going to be the best representation of the data as a whole. Now, how are you going to take this information and apply it to future questions? There's a few hints that they give you in the concept summary. So I'm just going to erase this and reuse this space. And you can write this down below this. but here are some hints for when these are most useful. So the mean is most useful when the data has no extreme values. When the data has no extreme values. Over here, our mean did have relatively all the same, around the same number. We went from 18 to 32. That's a pretty small range. They're all within the same area of numbers. Over here, though, we saw our two extremes. We had one number that was greater than 3,000, and we had a 0, where all the other numbers were somewhere between 0 and 1,000. So over here we had some extremes, over here we didn't. The mean is most useful when the data has no extreme values. The median is most useful in two circumstances. Number one, when the data does have extreme values. Or when there are no big gaps in the middle of the data. So the mean is most useful when the data has no extreme values. The median is most useful when the data does have extreme values, or when there are no big gaps in the middle of the data. And the mode is most useful when the data has many identical numbers. When the data has many identical numbers. When the data has many identical numbers. Because obviously, if you had a set of data that has 10 different numbers, or 10 numbers in the data, and let's say that 5 of those numbers are all the same number, then obviously, probably the best representation of that set of data is going to be the mode, because almost half of the numbers in the data are all the same. So that would be a circumstance where the data has many identical numbers, and it would be most useful to use the mode. I would like for us to put this into practice, and we are going to try out a situation where we create a set of data, and we decide which measure of central tendency best describes our set of data. So we have 16 people. I believe everyone is here today.
Yep.
So I am going to number on here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, I want to move this over a little bit so I have some more space. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. We are going to make a set of data that displays each of your ages in months. So not in years, but in months. So for example, if someone was born in
2001.
hang on. Let's say that someone was born in July of 2000. This person would say that, okay, I was born in July of 2000, so we haven't had July of this year, right? So the last birthday that they had would be in July of 2013. So that means that they turned 13 in July of 2013. So that's 13 years. How many months are in 1 year? 12. So they would have to do 13 times 12 would be 156 months. But now we have to think of the year 2014. Or this was from since July 2013, right? So then we have August 2013, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, and we're just in April right now. So I have to add 9 more months to this. And I would get 165 months.
Wait, did you start with July?
So start with your birth month and year and see how many months from your birth month and year to your last birthday. And then if your last birthday was in January, well then you're going to have to add February, March, April, May, or April.
So like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm done and I have the dates.
Okay.
Wait, days?
Hang on. You mean months?
Months and days.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Wait,
you
do
add
you
days.
include your
Just
month?
Yeah, so June.
Your month?
Yeah. Or you just do like mine's December, so I do like January, February, I do.
So don't include your month. No, because that was your birthday. That was when you turned 12. So I would include the
Since
month
it-
after that. Unless, I mean, you can play around with it. It depends on when your birthday was.
Oh,
If
mine
your birthday
was
was like, if your birthday was December 5th, then you could count December and go till April 5th. It's not going to be exact, but we want to be close here, people. Okay, keep it down. I'm going to take it from you in a minute.
Are we counting April?
Yeah.
Well, we're only a little bit into April, so you don't have to count April. You can. I know this is not going to be exact, but it should be pretty close. Okay, Callista, how many months?
148.
Autumn?
60.
Anna?
155.
Nathan?
What?
Veda?
Oh, no.
How is Callista's possible?
Multiple.
Okay.
Yeah, because I am only one of the fingers.
Wait, so what do we do?
Yeah, because she's older than me and I got more days.
Calista should be 160, but she's born in September.
Okay, this is sick.
So, okay, we'll leave hers to have her figured out. Morgan, did you get yours?
I don't know.
Not yet? Did you get yours yet? You think it's 160? Karina? Okay.
That was 2,000.
Number 8, because did you get yours?
Oh,
You would take
160. Oh, birthday.
Olivia, did you get yours?
157. 152.
160.
Yours? Not yet. Number 15?
I don't know.
You still doing yours? Mason, did you get yours?
I got 153.
Find yours? Well, what's
You should get the same number as me then.
Callista should be 160.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing the.
Okay.
I'm doing the math.
And then Olivia
should be 152.
Her and Autumn are the same month.
Olivia's is 152, you said?
Yeah, at the top, number 9. Trying to be older than me. I'm older than you.
Are we helping out Karina?
Yeah, I'm helping her.
Okay.
It's actually 163. 162.
Here. When is yours?
July.
So that you add 7.
What's yours?
No, okay, so you had. When's your birthday?
Mason, when was your birthday?
Okay,
March 13th. So you just turned 13. You said 13 times 12 is 165. And then it hasn't been out a month yet, so we'll just say 165. So we're waiting on. Yes.
Okay, now you're 154.
Okay, 4. What does it matter? Morgan's 144.
Morgan's 154.
So here are yours, not mine, your average number of months for your ages. So we can find the mean, the median, or the mode. Which one do you think would best represent this set of data and why? Emily? Do you think the mode? Why do you say the mode?
There's a lot of 160s.
There's a lot of 160s. You have one here, one here, one here, one here. Did I skip one?
Number 4.
161.
Yeah, but the mom.
So we have 5.
160.
We have 5 that are 160 out of 16. So mode, yeah, that would work. We could do the average because do we have any extremes here? No, everyone is around kind of the same age. And we could do for this one really any of the choices could work, right? Because, well, median, no, because the data doesn't have any extreme values. So I would say the mean or the mode would be the best choice. Mode because the data has a lot of the same number, 160, and mean because there's no extreme values. So this is one example where you could use the mean or the mode, and it would be a good choice. Yes?
Okay, so like when they give you like a number 15 for the homework, what are you supposed to do with that, like timeline? Like how to text it? We don't have to do that.
Let me look it up.
Or number 14.
Okay, so for number 14, they are saying that these are your numbers. If you look at that, there is an X above the number 1. So that means you have a number 1 in your data. Then there's a mark above 3 and 4.
And then there's
3 above 6, so you would have like that.
Okay.
So I would take that line plot and I would write out your numbers.
Okay.
And then you can figure out your mean, median, and mode. Any other questions about today's lesson or about the homework? 8 through 16 evens on page 437. Actually, it's 437 to 438 because 16 is just on the other side. Does everyone know how to use that stem and leaf plot for number 16? Let me know if you have any trouble with it. We have about 5 minutes. Please go ahead and get started on your homework. Let's have the first person in every row quietly put away the whiteboard. Please stack them neatly over here. Whose was that? That was from last period. All right, guys, please make sure I said you want them stacked how they were before.
I did.
Thank you, Daddy, for fixing. Tomorrow we will have a small quiz over 9.1 to 9.4, so just these first 4 sections that we have learned. So if you look it over tonight and be prepared tomorrow at the beginning of class to ask any questions that you have about 9.1 to 9.4. quiz note as well. Keep in mind that it is over 9-1, so you will need your compass and protractor. If your protractor doesn't work very well and it's hard to draw your circles, maybe even just bring in something that is nice and round, maybe a piece of cardboard that's in a perfect circle or something that you can use to trace to make your circle. I'll check though and see for sure that we have to use it. Actually, you do not have to draw a circle graph, so you should be okay.
Still a minute.
No. Yeah, 7. Yeah, 7.
No.